Now on CoastTV News.
Former Lewes Fire Chief Bill Buckalew, and the question remains, will he resign? Speaking out against hate, CoastTV spoke with the guest speaker at tonight's town hall in Lewes, plus why the event brought out protesters.
And we have possible storms on Saturday evening. I'll let you know with my full forecast and exactly what I'm tracking and when they will hit.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good Friday evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Top Lewes Fire Department officials are calling for embattled former Chief Bill Buckalew to resign. An extraordinary press conference with the Lewes Fire Department happened this morning, and in that press conference, Lewes Fire Chief Robert Stevens and Fire President Wally Evans were calling for former Fire Chief Bill Buckalew to resign from the department. This comes after multiple controversies involving Buckalew over the last decade in the department, most recently using the N-word in public while serving as chief. And CoastTV News reporter Emma Aiken explains the fire department is worried about its reputation.
We were led by Lewes Fire Chief Robert Stevens upstairs to this room. Once inside, Fire President Wally Evans spoke first, and the first question he answered was this.
Should Bill Buckalew resign?
Should Mr. Buckalew resign? In my opinion, for the best interest of the Lewes Fire Department, it would be good for Mr. Buckalew to resign.
Fire Chief Robert Stevens echoed that sentiment.
I believe in my heart that Bill Buckalew should resign, and I do not agree with anything that he said, and I do think that Bill Buckalew should resign.
Both Evans and Stevens say their fire department's long-standing bylaws prevent them from doing anything beyond what was already decided about Buckalew's punishment. That being Buckalew's suspension of 60 days, where he could ultimately return to the department. Evans says Buckalew's punishment followed the bylaws.
And I could get the information on it. The 3 parliamentarians who have over 99 years of service with the Lewes Fire Department said that we had followed the bylaws and that it cannot be overturned.
The NAACP says because of Buckalew's racist comments, allowing Buckalew to return is not just disappointing, it's dangerous.
How are you going to?
CoastTV asked both men if the community should worry that their firefighters may not protect people of color and their homes as aggressively as they need.
We are here for the community. When somebody dials 911, our job is to show up. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, how you are. We are here for the community, and we will do everything in our power to make sure the community is served.
We have served this community for over 280 years faithfully. We go to every single call. We never ask about race, creed, or anything else. We don't ask if they're rich. We don't ask if they're poor. If you dial 911, we're coming. We are coming.
Evans also tells CoastTV the department has reached out to help provide sensitivity training or other resources for the members.
We reached out again to former Chief Bill Buckalew to ask if he will resign, but again, no answer. Reporting in Lewes, Emma Aiken, CoastTV News.
And we mentioned Buckalew has faced multiple controversies during his time at the department. He was serving his 5th term as fire chief at the time of his suspension, but back in 2018, Buckalew was arrested by Lewes police for disorderly conduct after urinating off a dock. And in 2020, while serving as assistant chief, Buckalew was suspended for a Facebook post. That post included a slur aimed at a drag performer following a show in Rehoboth Beach, and that post was later deleted. Buckalew issued a public apology. Now, following Buckalew's suspension, the Lewes Fire Department held an election to pick a new fire chief. We just heard from Robert Stevens. He's currently serving the role as fire chief, but full disclosure here, the current fire chief, Robert Stevens, is the husband of CoastTV's assistant news director and anchor, Madeline Overturf. We'll go now to our CoastTV poll. We want to know if you think Buckalew should keep his membership. Looking at the updated results, you can see 75% say no, but 25% say yes. We also ran the same poll yesterday in our 6 p.m. show yesterday. The results showed 29% saying yes and 71% saying no. You can still vote. The poll is still up. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app Let us know what you think. Tonight, Speak Out Against Hate hosted a town hall event at the Lewes Public Library, and Representative Sarah McBride was the guest speaker at the event. She spoke with CoastTV after giving her remarks about fostering peace in the community.
Too often we see people trying to resort to solve differences through violence. What we need is nonviolent, peaceful dialogue to foster change, to open hearts and change minds, to tap people's empathy, and to guarantee that in this beautiful, diverse society, we're able to live among one another, respect one another, and work with one another. It feels different now than it did.
And Speak Out Against Hate has another town hall planned for November 13th, also at the Lewes Public Library. But outside tonight's town hall, protesters were lining up. They seemed to be protesting Sarah McBride's appearance there. But at the same time, Speak Out Against Hate organized a counter-protest. You can see some of the members there standing there with Speak Out Against Hate signs. Now we're looking live into Salisbury, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams, is going to join us with a check on the forecast. Paul, is the rain going to ruin my Saturday?
Not if your Saturday plans are in the daytime hours. Not a problem. Now, if it's at night, late at night, like about 9:30 to midnight, yeah, you might have to have plan B handy, because that's how we're rolling this weekend. But for Lewes, we're looking at 76 degrees right now. We'll drop down to 73 by 3 o'clock, mostly clear skies. The timeline has shifted a little bit slightly since our 6 o'clock newscast, by the way. We're at 77 degrees from Lewes all the way down to Bethany Beach, 76 degrees right now, Ocean City. We still have activated at least a marginal risk of severe weather, mainly late Saturday night, going to early Sunday morning, actually. We have coastal flood statement that's active for us until Saturday, but right now we're looking very clear and non-threatening. But the winds are coming out of the south. That's adding more moisture, more heat into the fray. And then we're going to be watching out for wind gusts that are going to be pushing out of the south up to nearly 30 miles per hour. And that's just the beginning of how things are going to begin to turn, Christina. Coming up, we'll talk more detail of the timing of the storms and where they're going to impact the most.
All right, thank you, Paul. We'll check back in. New tonight, the Milton Chamber of Commerce is seeing big changes at the top. Executive Director Jessica Velasquez-Schlegel and Board President Aaron Rogers have both announced they are stepping down. Velasquez-Schlegel, who joined the chamber earlier this year, says she's leaving to pursue a career in public education. Rogers is stepping back to focus on family, but says he will stay involved as a chamber member. Now, these resignations come after the cancellation of 2 popular community events. That includes Bargains on the Broadkill and the Horseshoe Crab Festival. Today, state and local and federal leaders gathered at the Indian River Inlet to discuss the future of Delaware's coastlines. They highlighted work completed over the past year, also upcoming projects including beach nourishment on the north side and jetty improvements. $80 million in federal funding has been secured to support these efforts, also protecting homes, businesses, and the shoreline. Leaders say the projects are essential to keeping Delaware's coast resilient for generations to come.
We have projects to restore the beach and make sure it is protected and available not only for recreation but for protection. But then you have the jetty work that the Corps is doing to actually make the inlet functional and keep it in good shape for navigation going in and out.
Beach nourishment on the north side of the inlet is expected to begin in the coming weeks, with jetty restoration planned for next year. The Route 50 bridge into Ocean City will be closed for repairs in January. The State Highway Administration says crews will repair the interlocking system with all traffic detoured to Route 90 until January 20th. From commutes to work, emergency services, or getting to school, locals say the shutdown will be more than just an inconvenience.
Especially the people that live in town and that go to Stephen Decatur, of course it will. And it's going to affect everybody. Everybody's going to have to go 90, and I'm sure it's going to be back up over there. So people are going to have to remember to leave early to get to school.
And it's worth noting marine traffic will also be shut down for more than 2 months, with further construction on the bridge scheduled throughout 2026. And staying in Ocean City, there are just a few lifeguards left on the beaches there. According to the Beach Patrol, only a third of their staff remains at this point. As CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappé shows us, we are just days away from the whistles on watch going quiet.
During the busy summer season, it can be hard to find a good spot to enjoy the sun and the sand. But post-Labor Day, as big crowds start to drive back home, there's plenty of space to pick a spot and enjoy the waves. That's something John Bailey and his wife do every year to celebrate their wedding anniversary.
I'd rather have it this way. The busy crowds, just too much sometimes.
But just like the crowds, around 2/3 of the lifeguards have already left their post. That means the 1/3 still on duty have a lot more area to cover. If you are planning to go to the beach in Ocean City soon, you might see a lot of lifeguard stands unoccupied. That's because according to the Ocean City Beach Patrol, a lot of their lifeguards have gone back to school. And while some is better than none, if you're going to head into the surf, it's safer to be in the view of the lifeguards that are still around.
If you're going in the water, I believe they should be here. You should be here with the lifeguards. If you're a really good swimmer, but you never know with the currents nowadays.
If you're trying to thread the needle of a late season beach trip with lifeguards still on duty to provide added safety, time is running out. According to the Ocean City Beach Patrol, the last day lifeguards will be on duty will be Sunday, September 21st. I'm Kevin Zapay in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
The Maryland Department of Agriculture says a highly contagious horse disease has spread to multiple counties in the state. Confirmed cases of the upper respiratory infection known as strangles have been found in Anne Arundel, Baltimore, and Montgomery counties. Those are all across the bridge from Delmarva, but horse owners on Maryland's eastern shore say they're on high alert as the disease can be fatal if severe or left untreated.
Does cause a lot of inflammation in the neck and head of the horse, and they have trouble breathing. There's a lot of discharge, nasal discharge. There's also different areas underneath of the jaw of the animal that can become inflamed and infected, and it becomes a very challenging disease to manage.
And the Maryland State Veterinarian says the best defense against strangles is a strong defense, and some best practices to prevent infection are isolating new horses, not sharing feed buckets or throughs, and to keep up to date with vet checks. Making national headlines tonight, hundreds of undocumented immigrants apprehended in massive ICE raids across the country. As Michael Yoshida reports, the raids, which took place in Georgia and New York, come as Chicago leaders prepare for an expected immigration enforcement operation in the city.
Cell phone video capturing a sweeping immigration raid at a massive Georgia manufacturing facility.
We need all work to end on the site right now.
475 people were apprehended as several law enforcement agencies descended on the Hyundai Meta plant near Savannah on Thursday, according to a Homeland Security investigations official.
Almost for a second, like, are we in the U.S.? Like, I've never seen them come out like that, guns drawn.
A similar site hundreds of miles away in upstate New York. Federal agents raiding a family-owned plant that makes nutrition bars. Dozens of workers questioned, with nearly all taken into custody, according to the nonprofit Rural and Migrant Agency, whose staff witnessed the raid.
The people that work for us are, every single one of them are wonderful people. And to have them taken away is not only unfortunate, it's just inhumane almost, the way you see it, as it's being conducted.
Also Thursday, the Justice Department suing Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu and the city's police department over the city's so-called sanctuary policy, which limits cooperation with federal immigration efforts. Wu calling the lawsuit a, quote, unconstitutional attack. Earlier this year, the DOJ sued New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago over similar policies. A federal judge dismissed the suit against Chicago this summer. The White House continues to clash with Democrat-led cities and states. Chicago leaders are preparing for an expected immigration enforcement operation, which could include the deployment of the National Guard. In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
And a spokesperson for Hyundai said the company is cooperating with law enforcement and is, quote, committed to abiding by all labor and immigration regulations. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is planning to drop proposed Biden-era rules on disrupted flights. Those rules would have required air carriers to provide essential services and compensation to passengers after a canceled or delayed flight. A Transportation Department spokesperson said some of the rules went beyond what Congress had required. The Department of Transportation did say it would still implement consumer protections mandated by Congress. And we are just getting started tonight. Coming up ahead, school walkouts spreading across the nation in response to gun violence. And coming up, it's almost the weekend, so we have some things for you to do this weekend.
Bay forecast, hey, listen, watching out for thunderstorms on Saturday. Then on Sunday, cloudy skies and sunshine on Monday. But we're going to go from a summer situation to falling right into a fall pattern.
I've got a tongue twister for you this week. Shop small, fall crawl. That's what's happening in Millsboro Saturday at American Legion Post 28 from 10 to 3. More than 75 vendors, a scavenger hunt, and a DJ all in store. In Ocean City, Seafood Week begins Saturday. More than 20 local restaurants are participating, serving signature seafood dishes from crab cakes, lobster rolls, oysters, and more. The 47th annual Nanacoke Indian Powwow brings culture, dance, and food to Hudson Fields in Milton both weekend days. It's an official state of Delaware recognized event focused on preserving indigenous culture and traditions. Another annual event returns to the Bethany Beach Boardwalk Saturday, the Bethany Beach Arts Festival, showcasing the work of more than 100 artists. That's from 10 to 5 p.m. And don't forget to check out the Shore Living Expo at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center from 10 to 4 Saturday. You can celebrate all things that make Delmarva a great place to live. For more details, just head over to CoastTV.com and click on Cool Things to Do.
I've come to the conclusion, because I'm looking forward to this weekend so much anyway, whether it's bad weather or good, it's a great weekend. How about we go and approach it that way regardless, okay? In Lewes, although there are going to be a couple of not so great bumps in the road. In Lewes, 76 degrees right now. Winds have actually calmed down a little bit, now moving directly out of the south, 9 miles per hour. By the way, we stay clear for the rest of the night into the early morning hours, staying in the 70s. We won't even click into the 60s, actually. And we've been cooler than that earlier this week. Right now, we are just made in the shade, so to speak, with temperatures in the 70s, 73 in Redden, as well as Georgetown and Millsboro, Dagsboro, where it's 72 degrees currently, and Delmar and Gumboro, 73 right now, Ocean City. Now, here's my main concern, because we still have a marginal threat of severe weather, so it's not the highest level, it's actually the lowest level. But because we've been cooking for the last 2, almost 3 days, with that much energy in place, it's hard to really predict where this thing is going to just jump off. I mean, we actually have a coastal flood statement, just being mindful of the possibility of flooding. But those storms are not going to stick around long enough, so even I take that with a grain of salt. Okay, I'm going to walk you through what I'm really concerned with, because a lot of this stuff is coming out mishmash to me. So winds are pushing out of the south. Future gusts, we're looking pushing out of the south up to nearly 30 miles per hour out of the south. Then it shifts dramatically on Sunday. Now that indicates we are going to have a cold front that's going to push through. That's going to change the wind direction. Then we talk about this. 10 o'clock, we're looking at thunderstorms popping off at Seaford and near Lewes, splitting up. The first run, both of these were cohesive in one long line. Now this latest model run is breaking those up. But then we have a secondary push for Sunday at 2 o'clock in the morning. So now this is leaning more into Sunday. So with that being the case, I wanted to break it down with my other model, okay, my European model. We have this strong storm that's pushing through about 7:30. And then look, by 11 o'clock, we're looking at it really pounding the folks on Highway 13 from Seaford to Delmar at 11 o'clock. All right, I feel strong and confident with that. Then we have another wave that hits early Sunday morning. Now we're going to switch gears again. 9 o'clock we'll way towards Highway 30 and then towards Lewes again at midnight. This is the second storm that's going to hit Lewes. And then we have a third wave of rain that's going to hit Lewes by 2:30, but it'll be heavier in Millsboro at 2:30. So instead of just be concerned about Saturday night, now it leans from Saturday night going into Sunday. So we're going to stay really cloudy for Sunday. We are calling for a yellow alert day on Saturday, but it's mainly Saturday night, and I really don't see things going sideways until we get to about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So as long as you're planning whatever you got planned over this weekend on Saturday, and it's during the daylight hours, you should be okay. But after the sun goes down, no more promises, okay? Here's a look at the rest of your 7-day forecast. Temperatures will be in the 70s and feeling every bit of fall all of next week.
All right, thank you again, Paul. Well, the latest jobs report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics is out. The economy added just 22,000 jobs last month. The data shows unemployment rose to its highest level in nearly 4 years, from 4.2% to 4.3%. The data together could be an indication that the U.S. labor market is growing stagnant. There are now more people looking for work than there are available jobs. Students across the nation staged a school walkout to demand action on gun control. The walkouts are in part a response to last week's fatal shooting at a Minnesota church, where students were holding mass to mark the start of the school year. In St. Paul, students marched from school to the state capitol building. Students also walked out in Minnesota, where those 2 kids were killed, dozens more injured in last week's shooting. And in North Carolina and Nashville, Tennessee, students walked out as well. And across the country, people are heading back to school. It's an exciting time for families, but also comes with potential risks of hazing. Experts warn that hazing acts are becoming violent and more physical. And as Lee Waldman reports, she shows us what families should do to keep young people safe.
Experts that we spoke to say it's important to catch those hazing warning signs early on. You should look out for changes in behavior, routines, or habits, but preventing hazing is more complicated than you'd think. Last spring, high school lacrosse players in Syracuse, New York made headlines after they were accused of being involved in a hazing incident. 11 team members faced criminal charges after they allegedly staged a kidnapping of 5 younger players.
For these students who made this horrible mistake, this is a real life lesson. The fact that they are a spotlight nationally right now because of their stupidity.
Pietro Sasso, an associate professor at Delaware State University, studies hazing, which he says often extends from high school through college. Hazing is an activity that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers an individual seeking to join a group, according to advocacy group Stop Hazing.
Hazing is becoming more violent and more physical. And we're seeing the use of illegal drugs in hazing.
Sasso says another emerging trend in hazing is the use of social media for harassment.
What used to happen is you could avoid hazing and take a break while you weren't participating in that group. Now you can't.
So how do you stop it? Well, Sasso says the answer is as complicated as the problem itself.
Because hazing behaviors are constantly shifting, it's like you're trying to hit a moving target.
He explains it's important to address hazing head-on when students are younger.
It's almost like a contagion that you want to control.
It's important to get a handle on hazing because it can leave a lasting impact, particularly on your mental health. Sasso says it can trigger things like depression, anxiety, and can have an impact on students' grades. It also holds legal ramifications in some states. In New York, Lee Waldman.
Coming up next, a civil rights hero passes away. How Joseph McNeil's legacy will live on.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
A man who sparked change by playing a major role in the civil rights movement has died at the age of 83. Retired Major General Joseph McNeil has passed away, and as Lindsay Klein reports, he was one of the members of the ANT-4 sit-in movement and a decorated Air Force veteran.
Joseph McNeil was a man with a mission to make a change. He passed away at the age of 83. But he was just 17 years old when the sit-in movement began back in 1960.
I became very angry at the fact that everyone talked about change, but very people did anything about it.
A civil rights icon and a decorated Air Force veteran, McNeil was part of the ANT-4, staging a sit-in protest at the F.W. Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro on February 1st of 1960.
And I talked to Mom. I said, Mom, I might be going to jail. And she said, why would you do something like that? What have you done? I didn't send you to that school in North Carolina to go to jail. What's this about? It's a statement on my part of we're doing what you taught us to do. Take a stand up when you're right.
From that point on, McNeil continued to use his bravery and determination to fight for equal rights, spreading the message that even the smallest gesture can help change the world.
Sunday Night Football coming back this week. You can watch the Ravens take on the Buffalo Bills right here on Coast TV at 8:20 p.m. Be sure to stay with us for your local news after the game. Well, it looks like pop star Justin Bieber just dropped another surprise album, Swag 2. It's out now, features 23 songs and collaborations with Tems and Lil B. Swag 2 is a follow-up to Just Regular Swag, which was released in July and Justin Bieber's first album since 2021.
Milford right now, 74 degrees, dew point of 65. They will stay in the mid-70s for the rest of the night. Won't cool down by much after that. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Gil Myers of Bridgeville. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruxted, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're calling for a yellow alert day on Saturday with a high of 89 degrees. I'm expecting that rain to hit after the sun goes down. Really between 8 to midnight is the widest berth of the time frame that I would say you'd have to be mindful of as that storm pushes through very quickly, going into early Sunday morning till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
All right, got it. Thank you again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 on this Friday night. You can always find more news, more local weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great night.